classic, something special.
Hi friends, welcome back or welcome to Friends in High Places podcast. On today's episode, I have Cole back on the pod.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna lie, this last week got a bit busy, so I didn't actually have something ready to release. And Cole and I got talking and thought, you know what, fuck it, let's just get behind the mic and record an episode. And yeah, so we don't really have much planned for this episode, it's just gonna be us bullshitting. But yeah, we wanted to make sure I had something to give you guys, and...
Excuse me. We had something to give these guys, okay?
Something we had to give you guys. And yeah, so what's up?
What's up?
She
says what's up, like we don't spend every minute of every day together. Like, so how was your day? Like you weren't there for it the entire time? I'm good. I'm just chilling. But yeah, no, to your point, we're definitely determined to make sure that we're always on point on Wednesday, giving you guys the pod. I don't want to say we like it's my podcast, but when I'm on here, I guess it's we. But yeah, no, it's a pleasure to be back on here. I know that it's funny because at the beginning of all this, I'm like, I'm going to make sure that I'm not always on there because I wanted to be your thing. But
well, it's been a hot minute since it's just been you and I.
Yeah, that's true, and I'm happy. We haven't had
an episode together in a minute, and you're on the one with your dad, but your dad was there, so it was mainly me.
That was just because my dad was nervous, though. Let's be honest.
And you bring out a good side of your dad, and that's why I wanted you to be there. Plus, I knew you being a part of it would bring out all those stories that came out. So
no, totally, for sure.
It was good.
And no, like I said, it's one of my favorite episodes. We should also mention that you have our cat Luna in your lap purring. If anybody hears any instantaneous purring in the background, it's because our cat Luna just did not let us record this without her.
She has to be a part of it all, and the girls are kind of like my little posse. They follow me around the house all the time, so
Can I tell them? Before we started recording, the door was wide open, and I'm like, oh babe, we should probably close that door, like for sound, right? Because I'm a sound guy because I make music, so I'm like, oh, if we keep the door closed, then acoustically it'll sound right, when it really doesn't matter. But she was like, no, I have to keep the door open just in case the girls like come in here. And I was like, I don't know. And then I looked over, and literally they walked in one by one, as if it was her entourage.
They always have to be near me.
Like her little security guards just keeping an eye on her.
Yeah, like I was telling Tommy the other day, I was just like hanging out downstairs, I don't know, cleaning, just chilling in the living room, and the girls were like laying on the couch with me and stuff, and Cole was recording, and he asked me to come up and listen to something. So I come upstairs to the studio room, and I'm listening, and the girls slowly follow me one by one after, and they just hang out for like the couple minutes that I'm listening to Cole. And then I'm like, yeah, sounds good, like great song. And I was like, hey, I'm gonna go back downstairs. And so as I leave, the girls follow behind me and come downstairs with me. Like they literally have to be wherever I am.
My mom always says that she's never seen like an animal human relationship the way that you have with our cats. Like it's actually insane. Like we'll come home after being gone from grocery shopping for like 2 hours, and they'll both just be at her ankles, and then she'll pick them both up, and they'll just literally lay out in her arms as if we've like left them stranded for an entire year. Like
yeah.
They're so attached. It's crazy.
Yeah, especially Luna. She has separation anxiety, so she's like really stuck to me. Bella too, but
that's the reason why we haven't had a dog too, because we've talked about getting a dog before, but we just obviously not with COVID. But when COVID's not a thing, we're touring all the time, and it's just so hard to like have a puppy. You know what I mean? A puppy takes even more work than a cat would. Usually, maybe not in our case, because these cats are next level. But.
But dogs definitely aren't as independent, and it definitely sticks with them more when you are absent. That's for sure.
And dogs don't shit in a box.
Well, yeah, but that doesn't have anything to do with it.
I mean, it kind of does. Think about it. Cats like have like their specific box that they shit in. Dogs don't.
Yeah, but we would have somebody taking care of the dog when we were gone.
I'm just saying that when you look at the logistics of it all. Anyway,
not really.
This is the first time that people have like witnessed me being in like a funny mood, and just like the way that you and I interact off. I was going to say camera, but off mic. That's funny for sure. But yeah, I know like you said, we don't have very much prepared. I did ask Instagram to ask us some questions just in case we needed like a little bit of a plan B. We don't need to get right into that away.
No, that can be like the end of the episode.
Yeah, for sure.
One thing I did want to talk to you about was Mark Mondays, because that's something that's new since we recorded together last.
Yeah, it's so crazy that your podcast has been out Or
Longer.
Longer than my Merc Mondays has.
Oh yeah, we just had our 2-month anniversary for High Places, Friends in High Places
Yeah,
podcast.
you did.
So I'm really stoked about that.
Not only that,
and-
but you just had your first double-digit episode too.
yeah.
Like, you know, when you're a kid and you're 9 and you're like, I can't wait
Yeah.
to turn 10.
Yeah.
When I'm 10, I'm officially double digits. You're in the 10s now, babe, and I'm proud of you. So.
My mom told me that Emily.
You know, most people say, like, thank you. but-
Sorry, thank you. I was just thinking about turning double digits, and
I'm
then it
just
made me
joking.
think of Emily. Sorry,
Yeah.
thank you. Emily is taking her babysitter's course.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, so Emily is my little niece. And
That we've babysat, might I add.
oh yeah, like I was there the day she was born.
She's taking
like
a babysitter's course.
yeah, and that just made me think of like being double digits. And when I turned 11, and was like so excited to do my babysitting course because then I
Yeah.
could actually like have a legit job. And,
Yeah.
yeah.
And you just feel so responsible, too, right?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. But yeah, super crazy. But yeah, super crazy that episode 10 and the 2-month anniversary just happened. I'm really excited, and thank you all for listening and supporting me on this fun adventure that I've not just started, but
still
have
kind of feels
started.
like it has been just started.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't feel like it's been 2 months, that's for sure. But
Time flies when you're having fun, am I right?
woohoo!
But yeah, no, it's crazy. It definitely has flown by. And yeah, like I.
Anyways, Mark Mondays.
Oh, we're gonna talk about me. Okay, I
Yeah.
try not to talk too
No,
much
that's
about
what this whole started with was Mark Mondays. So
Yeah.
like, how you feeling about it? How many have you released now? 6, 7?
me. I actually don't know. I think I am probably like 6.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Tops,
say
maybe
this
7.
Monday will be your 7th.
Like I've dropped content that would add up to like 7 or 8, but not all of them had been Merc Mondays. But no, it's been good. I'm really stoked about it. It's definitely keeping my pen sharp as far as like my writing goes, and keeps me consistent. And like I was saying, like it's just cool that you and I both have something that we have to commit to once a week that keeps us sharp and keeps us consistent. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
But it's been good. And it's cool too because artists that I want to work with have taken notice to Merc Mondays, and because of that, want to be a part of it. Whereas, not to say that I wouldn't be able to work with them otherwise, but I think that a lot of artists seeing me doing this weekly thing, I almost said bi-weekly. Carissa taught me that bi-weekly does not mean every week. I didn't know that. But other artists seeing me do this has made them want to get more involved. And like I said, not to say that they wouldn't work with me otherwise, but it just kind of makes us pull the trigger quicker, which is really cool because I can just constantly keep making content. I have so much stuff like backed up, not even out yet, that's just ready for Merc Mondays that it's hilarious. Luna, our cat, is sticking her nose in the microphone and has decided to jump off of Carissa's lap and give us a break.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been cool. It's been awesome. The numbers have been great. The fans have been awesome. And we've cracked 1 million monthly listeners on Spotify, which is amazing. And now we're at like 1.2 almost.
That's
So,
crazy. That's awesome.
Yeah, it feels like it was
Congratulations.
just the other day that I blinked and we were at 1 million. Thank you, baby. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's awesome. I think it was really a smart move for you to do that. And I mean, especially just during these times, like thinking of it from a fan's perspective, it's just really nice to have your favorite artist putting out so much content.
Your favorite artist, eh?
Oh my god. I was saying
From a
fan's
fan's perspective.
perspective.
Yeah, yeah. No, sorry. Let's run that back. I'm just joking, but yeah, I know what you mean.
You're annoying. Anyways, really cool for fans, and I enjoy hearing it as well. New content all
Yeah,
the
for
time,
sure.
new songs, and yeah, it's just the times where you can't tour, you can't be out there seeing your fans and hanging out with your fans, putting on a show for your fans. It's nice to be giving them new music,
I
new
was
songs.
just scratching my leg and Carissa grabbed my hand and pushed it away. Like,
He's a
"Oh,
scratcher.
Mike's probably going to pick that up.
Not only that, but he's such a scratcher, and you think you would have learned from cellulitis to be careful about so much scratching.
We're taking it there, are we? But no, back to your point, I do appreciate that. And I also try to think too, like as a fan of music outside of being an artist, like I know what I want from the artists I listen to.
Yeah.
So I just try to like look at it like that and then apply it to my own stuff. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like Russ is somebody who drops audio all the time, and then if the song blows up, he'll follow it with a video down the road. But that's like a perfect example of someone that I listen to and I pay attention to, and I notice that just consistency is everything. And we live in a time where the saying quality over quantity doesn't really coexist with the way the world works anymore, because you have to have both.
Well, and people's attention spans are just so like short now. Like think about all the YouTube influencers. They put out so much content because they're going to lose their following and their fans if they're not consistent with what they're putting out. And I think it's the same with music as well.
I agree.
Honestly,
I think you just have to find like the fine line in between being able to put out consistent content all the time that has quality, but also make sure that you don't burn yourself out.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I mean?
For sure. Like, definitely, if it's too much for the artist, then I'm not saying every artist should do that, but I just know that fans really appreciate it.
For
and
sure.
I mean, if T Swifty was down to put out a song every week, I'd be fucking stoked.
100%.
That's my favorite. So, like, honestly,
We love
I
our
wish.
Taylor Swift over here, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, but I mean, she even alone has been putting out a lot of content during COVID and quarantine. Like,
Put out
she
that whole
doesn't.
album.
She's put out 2 during
yeah,
COVID.
that's true, actually.
And she
It's crazy.
doesn't do that.
I
like-
remember the last album, but it's crazy to think that that was also during quarantine.
Yeah, and it was just a few months. Well, not a few months, but it seemed like they were very back to back because we just don't get that as Swifties. We don't get
Yeah, for sure.
the 2 albums in a year kind of thing. So
It makes me wonder what her live show is going to be like, because I've always respected her so much as like a performer. Like when it
yeah, because I took Cole to a Taylor Swift
100%,
concert.
100% she did. I tried to swing the meet and greet ticket, but they had no more left. But yeah, no, to that point too, like just being an artist and like I said, being a fan of other artists, like, and being that I respect her live show so much, like I can't even imagine what tour is going to be like for her. And it's
Yeah.
crazy because I was just talking to my manager today, like when I am back on the road, like how do I know what songs to incorporate into my live set? You know what I mean? Usually I'm touring all the time,
Yeah.
so I can kind of just like play around with it.
Album for album.
And now it's literally album for album, single for single for single. And it's like, I
Yeah.
guess you kind of just have to base it on the numbers and see who like listens to what songs the most. But it's
Yeah,
just,
and you'll just have to sit down and like go through everything you've released during this
I
time
got
period.
so much
And
rehearsing to do. It's insane.
yeah, 100%. But it'll be fine. You'll do fine with it.
Yeah. I don't know. Did I mention on your podcast before that I have nightmares about having to go on stage? I've told you, but like I had lived legitimate nightmares where I get on stage and like my songs that have already been fan favorited, that have already done really well, that everybody knows the words to. I get on stage and I'm like ready to perform it and I just forget all the lyrics, and then I wake up and then I play those songs and I realize I have forgot all the lyrics to my own songs.
I think it would take like maybe 2-3 days tops. It'd be
Yeah.
like getting back on a bicycle.
It's muscle memory for sure.
100%.
It would just take a little bit of time to get back into.
But I mean, it makes sense for sure that it's just been so fucking long. Like, there's certain songs that you've performed for many years now, Way Down being one of those,
Yeah.
and Gone Die. And other than that, you always do.
By the way, we should have called that song "Gonna Die" because I mean,
I know Gone
like,
Die, it really doesn't go off my tongue very nice.
I
and
know,
I
I know, it
like
doesn't
it.
go off anybody's tongue nicely. Pause. But no, just in general, like, trust me, I totally feel you. Because the way I say it on the hook, I'm like, feel like I'm gonna die. And then, but then, oh, well, that was the thing. But you know what I mean, though? It's like, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I agree. Should have. I mean, it's fine,
Yeah.
but it definitely just doesn't go off the tongue.
I named it like that based on the way I
Yeah.
say it on the hook, is what I'm trying to
And
say.
every time I go to say it, I like stutter
Yeah.
because it like just doesn't sound right.
For sure.
But anyways,
You and I also, well, not you and I, it was actually a thing that came to mind in my own mind. But I have this thing now where when Carissa thinks something's funny, she's like, oh my God, I'm dying.
yeah,
And then I'm like,
a lot of people do that.
and then I'm like, no, everybody does. And I have a
Yeah.
song called Gonna Die.
Yeah.
Gonna
Gonna die.
Gonna die. Whatever. Fuck. My point is though, is that like I'm a firm believer in manifestation, both positive and negative.
Speaking things
and
into
speaking
existence.
things into existence. And now we have Bella coming to join
Hey.
the party because Luna has officially left the building. But yeah, I always give Chris a hard time when she's like, oh my God, that's so funny. Like, I'm
gonna
literally dying. And I'm like, don't say that because I don't
I
want
gets
to speak the
mad
wrong
at me.
things into existence.
And literally the other day, he was like, "Oh my God, babe, you're gonna die. I gotta show you something funny." And I'm like, "Okay."
I caught myself though.
Yeah, but
I was like, never mind, you're not going to die. It's just really funny. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, I was like, "Okay, how does this even make sense right now?"
But yeah.
I'm trying to get better with it because he gets all sensitive about it. But like, I don't think I'm actually gonna die. It's just like sometimes, you know, you're laughing so hard, you're like, "Oh my God,
Yeah.
I can't breathe." Like,
But you're also a very spiritual person. So when it comes to like what I'm talking about, like I'm sure you
I get
believe
it.
in that as well, right?
yeah, I 100% believe in speaking things into existence and manifestation, but it's not what I try to do when I say,
Like that.
"This is so funny, I'm gonna die."
No, I know that. I know it's not intentional. But like,
What?
for example, a good example of what I mean is like that Biggie documentary we were just watching the other day, which, by the way, we both thought was cool, but we thought it could have been better. There was a lot of stuff we felt like they were missing.
Yeah.
But
R.I.P. Biggie.
and rest in
It's
peace, Biggie. Today is actually the
anniversary.
anniversary of his passing. It's been 24 years. I'm not going to say how old I was 24 years ago because every time something gets brought up and it's like a date in time, I'm like, at that time I was this old. I'm not going to do that. Chris has called me out for that on many occasions, and I'm trying to get better. But
not bad.
But my
It's
point
just
though,
funny.
but my point though is he dropped an album called Ready to Die, and shortly after passed away. You know what I mean? And like I look at things like that and certain things rappers say. I look at Peep, for example. Lil Peep
Yeah,
is
I
somebody
know.
that you and I both loved
I know.
and still do.
R.I.P.
And a lot of his music was like, I'm gonna die and I'm ready to go,
Yeah.
and saying shit like
Yeah.
that. And I just feel like the more that you say certain things like that, like you're just putting it in the air, you know? It's just
Yeah.
you're smiling. What are you thinking? Right
I'm
now?
just thinking how deep this is getting right now off of me talking about laughing so hard.
You know me though. I know.
No,
how to,
I know, and I get
I
it,
just
and
take
I
one
respect
thing
it,
and I
but-
just completely 360 it.
Yeah.
That's how I am. But yeah.
But anyways, back to Merc Mondays. So, yeah, it's a great thing. We're happy it's happening. And
No, I'm very happy it's happening. And
and how do you feel about the last couple tracks you put out? I mean, one with Twista, one with Too Short. Like those are
Yeah.
two pretty big fucking names and pretty
yeah, insane.
pretty
I-
amazing.
I have I literally grew up listening to both those guys. I remember stealing their music off Napster. Sorry guys if you're listening to this now. I did steal your music when I was a kid, but that's only because my parents wouldn't let me. Yeah, let me listen to it. I meant to say I'm sorry. I'm in another place right now. My point though is no, it's really cool that I'm able to work with those guys. Not only work with them, but it's cool how the internet in a time like this where COVID is a thing is what actually brought us together. Like I reached out to Twist on Instagram via DM, and then he hit me back, and then that's how we
Yeah.
built that relationship and made that song. I had a friend of a friend that was close to Too Short. I spoke to him. He put me in touch with Too Short. We made the song. So like as much as I would love to be in the studio with these artists, working with them on the song in person, I'm still very blessed that just technology is what it is now, and you don't have to be in the same room to make a song.
Yeah, and
Makes me
just
think
like
of what it
social
used to be
media
like.
exists.
Yeah,
You can
exactly.
get in touch with people. Like a lot of the connections you have made over the past 3-4 years has been
online, yeah.
social media. You
100%.
making that connection. You just like, today I'm gonna go on a DM fucking.
Yeah, that's funny actually. I've never told anybody about that.
Oh,
Thanks for
sorry.
outing me.
Whoopsie.
No, it's totally fine. I have no problem sharing this. But I have this thing
My
where
bad.
it's okay, baby. But no, I have this thing where like we'll be laying like in bed or whatever,
Chilling.
just chilling, watching stuff before bed. And I do this thing where I just go on a DM spree.
Yeah.
And I just DM all the people that I fuck with, that I want to work with, that I'm like, okay, let's just try, right? Because I feel like there's no, like everything's worth a try.
See what the fuck happens.
And see what happens. And those are two prime examples of it working out. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I found out, I got a hold of Too Short through Ritz. Shout out Ritz, that's my guy. I seen he had a song with Too Short back in the day. I reached out to him. He put me in touch with a gentleman named Big Hud. Big Hud put me in touch with Too Short. But that was all based on me just DMing Ritz and being like, hey, how'd this happen for you?
Yeah.
Twista, I just DM'd him out of nowhere. I DM'd like 50, 60 people like before bed, and then it's like Christmas every
Yeah.
day. I go to, because I
Yeah.
pass out right after, and then I go to the bathroom the next morning. I'm like waking up, having my coffee, whatever, and then I'll like just be rocking my morning piss, and I'll check my DMs. And
Yeah,
four-
or if 4 in the morning,
Or,
pissed,
wait,
and
yeah,
he
that's
wakes,
true.
babe, guess who messaged me back? And I'm like, what the fuck is happening right now?
Snoop Dogg's cousin's little sister said, "What's
We're
up?"
still-
But yeah.
What? We're still sleeping.
But you know what I mean? Like, it's just
Yeah.
really cool. And it gives me something to, like, really look forward to, and it keeps me motivated. Even though there's been people I've spoke to about doing a song, and then it didn't work out, and life got busy on both ends. Like, I
Yeah.
understand that. But at the same time, it kind of puts your name in these people's heads. It's like, even
100%.
if you guys didn't end up getting a song together, if your name gets brought up in a really important conversation in a room full of people that are also important, like, they're going to remember who you are because you reached out.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think that's really important. And,
Sorry, I outed you.
oh no, it's totally fine. And artists supporting artists is just so important to me, especially right
yeah.
now.
Yeah, I agree. definitely. And it's just really cool that you've made some really big connections literally on your own.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. Also, shout out to Twisted and Too Short for not only doing the record with me, both being OGs in the game, but also making a point to promote them themselves too.
Yeah,
That means a
they're
lot.
so awesome. So cool.
Too Short posted our track literally this morning, and I told Chris, and I was just stoked about it. What's the thing that old people say? I was in cahoots about it.
Cahoots.
Have you heard that before?
I have, but I wouldn't have guessed that's what you were
Yeah.
going to say.
I heard some old lady say it on a video today, and ever since then, I'm like, I'm going to put that in my vocab from now on. Cahoots. Anyway, how do you feel about just like the feedback that you've gotten from the podcast, and just the fact that you have like an actual listener base that's looking forward to hearing your pods every Wednesday? Like, what is that like for you, having something that's your little baby, and how do you feel?
It's crazy. I feel really good about it. I feel so excited about it. And like when I was talking about doing this podcast, thinking about doing it, like I had this little feeling that, you know, it could be something really good and people might really enjoy it. But I also had that like other voice in my head being like, yeah, but are people really going to care? Are they going to want to listen to what you have to say? So I didn't imagine the feedback being so good so quickly. And I'm not sitting here saying like, oh my God, I'm like the best and doing the best and I have the biggest
for
following or anything like that. But honestly, like the small following that I do have, that's like a big deal to me. Like, cause it's just cool. It's just really cool to know that some people have, put me in their weekly routine. Like I've had people message me being like, every Wednesday I put on your podcast before I like have my coffee and first hoot of the day. Like, and coming from a stoner, like that's a big deal to be somebody,
Yeah,
to be
for
something somebody does before their first hoot of the day or even fucking coffee. Like,
Or
I
like
can't
before
function.
work or something, because that's, well, I mean, obviously a lot of people can't work, but I mean, for those that do, it's like that's like their prime time.
Yeah,
so if they're willing to
exactly.
take that 1 hour that they have
Yeah.
to themselves and dedicate it to listening to you and what you have to say,
and
that's a
looking
big
for
deal.
my new episode, like that's crazy, and
Yeah.
that like just makes me feel amazing. And one thing that I guess I feel like I'm missing is just like more interaction with my listeners, but that's because I need to do better with like being more present on like my social media. I need to be better with like even just giving my listeners something to talk to me about. So that's something that I really want to work on, is like interacting with who is listening more and having you guys a part of it more, because I just feel like it'll be more interesting to listeners and new listeners that way too. Because like if I didn't have my listeners, I wouldn't have a podcast at the end of the day,
Yeah,
right? Like,
for sure. I think that like people have already gotten to know you so much more through the podcast than they would have without the podcast. But I also think that people are intrigued by getting to know you to a point where they want to get to know you even more and they want it to be personable. So I agree with you. I think that like maybe doing some Q&As, much like we've done on Instagram before,
Yeah.
as a couple, but have you do them on your actual podcast like Instagram page,
Yeah.
going live on there, which I know that you're, sorry, our cats are in the background making noise. I'm going live on your Instagram, on your High Places podcast page,
Yeah.
and like answering people's questions live and stuff like
that
that.
makes me nervous.
I know it makes you nervous, and that's what I was about to say. Is I know those things make you nervous, but the thing is like it's always the stress and the nervousness that you experience before you do something that is actually way bigger than when it actually happens.
Yeah, and I
Like
just
look
had
at the podcast itself. Sorry, not to cut you off, but it's
That's
like
okay.
before you actually launch the podcast, the stress and like the mental anxiety that you had compared
Yeah.
to how you feel now that it's a thing
Yeah.
is night and day.
Yeah,
And it would be the
100%.
same once you actually start doing those things too.
Yeah, and I've had a lot of people message me, being like, is there going to be video? Is there going to be video? So like that's another thing that I am wanting to build confidence and work towards, is filming.
Yeah, but in your defense, babe, like there's more to it. Like we could just throw a table anywhere right now and set up a little thing and then hit record on the camera and record your podcast visually and give people visuals. But you're also trying to put together like a certain space in our homes dedicated to the podcast.
Yeah, I'm gonna make like this really awesome podcasting office. That's
Sorry
gonna
for
be
outing
like,
you.
no, that's okay. I'm really excited about it. It's gonna be like super cute and super like dreamlandy and like, but I want it to be perfect for when I
But that's
start
what I
doing.
mean.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not like you're not trying to do visuals already. It's just that when the time does come, you want it to be perfect, not only for your viewers and listeners, but also for yourself. Like it's.
And
like
also, I'm potting with like the guests that I've had, like my girlfriends and stuff, like Tommy especially. We're not in the same room when we're potting together.
Yeah.
So like that's another thing too, because of COVID, it isn't the easiest. I mean, you and I could be doing videos together,
Yeah.
but like, yeah. So
That's the thing on these certain episodes you could, and also too, not to get too off track here, but where we live in the world, we did. I just recently find out that the person who kind of controls everything out here says that they think that we might have a post-COVID summer, which would be amazing, and then you could have guests here. With
yeah,
you.
really hoping that that is a thing and trying to put that into the universe for sure. I'm not getting my hopes up 100% because we just don't
Oh,
know.
I am 100%.
I know you are, but I'm not because we just don't know what could happen in this pandemic still.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm very excited and happy with how the pod is doing and how it's going. I'm just really hoping that everyone's enjoying it, and
I love how I ask you a question and then I try to answer parts of it for you.
that's fine.
Like who fucking does
It's
that?
fine. I don't think you're trying to answer it. I think
No,
you're
I
just
know, but like-
adding to.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you always think that you are talking too much.
Yeah, it's a thing. And like every time I
It's
listen
not
back to one of
true.
these, I'm like, oh my God, will I just shut the fuck up?
Yeah.
Like there's always that one guy in the room that talks too much and then you feel like that person should shut the fuck up. But there's nothing weirder than wishing yourself would shut the fuck up.
Oh my gosh.
Listening to something
It's completely fine. It's what this is meant to be, is for you to be
Just
here
say it.
as my guest.
I'm going to deal with it and you tell them what's happening while I deal with it.
So our one cat, Bella, she is obsessed with paper towel rolls. Like literally obsessed with destroying them, like ripping them apart. And so she was just doing that. Cole had to get up and take the paper towel roll away.
Guess who's back again.
Don't even try and steal my
I
thing.
know. That was your thing.
Yeah, it was good. It was fun. You just did a little baby talk on the podcast.
Yeah, I know I did. As soon as I said it, I realized it. I do this thing where, like, me and Carissa, we have, like, every couple has it. Like, they have nicknames for each other, and they do, like, really sweet, tender things.
Yeah, but we
Carissa and I have a full-blown fucking language.
Yeah, we have a language.
To a point where our friends and family look at us like we're fucking psychopaths.
No, our family doesn't. At least my family doesn't.
No,
because-
not that, but I just mean, like, at first. Like, now they get it. But it's not like it
Well,
overnight.
I came from a family that talked
That's
like
true.
that.
But some of it we've
Let's be
inherited from
real.
your family.
I'm a big baby talker. Not in like everyday life to strangers, but to just like the
But,
people
yeah.
I care about.
I catch myself doing it when I'm talking to my friends and you're not even there. And I'm like, what am I doing right now?
Well, and your mom just like instantly soaked it up.
She picked it up,
Yeah,
picked
like
up on it and was stoked
I
about
think there was like a couple days she was like, "What are you guys saying?" And then we like
Didn't take long, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, and then she started repeating it,
Oh,
and it was
wow.
great.
Speaking of which, it's her birthday today.
Yes, happy birthday,
Mom.
Ma Dukes. Love you so much.
I'm sure you'll be listening to this because you listen to all the episodes. I'm sure at this very moment.
Mark and Papa.
I was going to say, at this very moment,
Yeah.
it's you on one couch, Dad and Papa on the other couch, and you're all surrounded around the iPad listening to this. Right now. And
Love you
Papa's-
guys.
And Papa's saying, "Can you turn it up a bit?" And then my dad goes, "Oh, Jesus Christ. Is that loud enough?" I can just picture the whole scenario.
Love you, Papa. Love you, Mark. Love you, Brenda.
And now our cats are fucking wrestling.
Oh my God. Oh my gosh. Anyways,
I always tell Carissa, I'm like, when shit happens that like throws us off while we're recording, we just gotta make it humorous, and then it's okay.
yeah, embrace it, and
100%.
hopefully you guys think it's funny. They're like, yeah, we don't give a fuck about what your cats are doing. Can you move
But
on?
whatever, they know. Like I said at the beginning, well, not like I said, like you said at the beginning, we made it very clear that we're just kind of like winging this one.
Yeah.
But sometimes I've found in my career, not to make it all about me again, that sometimes the greatest things come from just fucking winging it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, I feel like people
People like
love
to-
these kind of moments.
Yeah. Especially hear you in these kinds of moments because
I know,
it's
but I
not.
don't want it all to be about me.
I'm not making. Sorry, you're us in these kinds of moments.
This is your baby. I'm like the stepdad of this baby.
Ew, what? No, that's weird. You would be the actual father if this was my child.
I know, I'm just joking. Sorry. As we're talking here, I'm
God.
trying to pull up some questions because I feel like we should answer some of these. Are you down?
Okay, yeah, sure.
Not to like just jump right into it like that, but
This episode is fucking flail.
whatever. It's great. I'm stoked about it.
Okay. Me too.
I feel like a lot of these questions.
Oh my gosh, sorry.
I feel like a lot of these questions we've already answered on our first Q&A episode. But I'm going to ask you some anyway. Somebody says, what is our biggest regret as a couple? I'm going to let you take the wheel on that one.
What? What is our biggest regret?
And their name is Insulted Innocence on Instagram.
wow.
Quite the name there, bucko.
I'm gonna say
There's got to be something.
my biggest regret is not taking you to the hospital sooner when you had cellulitis.
Jesus, baby, I love you so much, but I don't think that's what they meant. I think they meant just like something like in the process of us being together. Like, I love you for that, but like, I don't think that's
I don't know.
that's not what they were looking for.
Then what do you? I don't understand the question then.
Here's I'll answer it. How
Okay.
about this? My biggest regret, even though I enjoyed talking to you for the 6 months prior to us actually meeting in person,
Yeah.
is my biggest regret is if I could go back in time and change anything, I would have came out there sooner with or without a tour. Even though I'm very happy the way that it worked out,
Yeah.
I would have loved to know that I spent even more time with you. I mean, not to say that I would just be the creepy, clingy guy that shows the fuck up the next day after we start talking, but I just mean like, you know what I mean? Like,
Okay,
maybe
well-
we didn't have to wait that long to actually meet. Maybe I could have came out there after we spoke for 3 months. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Okay, but why isn't my answer fall into the same category?
I
That's
mean, I
something
guess
you regret, and
I mean, I guess it does, but it's just like such a specific. I mean, you're right. You're right. I don't know. I just feel like that's something so recent. Like when I think like our relationship, I think like far back from the
Okay.
beginning until now. You know, even though like that question or that answer that you gave like melted my heart, and I love you so much for it.
I love you too.
But it's a subjective question. Like it could be anything. You know what I mean? We
Yeah.
can answer it however the fuck we want to answer it. How about that?
Okay, I'm gonna keep that as my answer because I don't know another answer.
Okay, it's all good. We're moving on. This is a funny question from Steven. Steven is actually a fan of ours who's been a fan of ours forever. And he
Oh,
says,
he just started listening to the pod. Shout out, Steven.
yeah, he did. He's going to be stoked on that shout out. He says, we got 2 questions from Steven and we're going to
Okay.
answer both. The first question is, what shows are you guys watching right now?
Oh, well, we kind of, you know what, it has changed since the last one. Superstore, Netflix, fucking good.
Yeah, have we talked about Blacklist?
Yes, we did on the
On the
first
pod?
Q&A.
We've been watching Blacklist for that long?
Yeah.
Holy shit, we have been watching it since the
Yeah.
Airbnb. I didn't even,
Yeah.
Wow, crazy.
Superstore, though,
Superstore.
so good.
We love Superstore. We were also watching
Fucking
the
hilarious.
newest episodes of Shameless. We enjoy.
Yeah, good too.
We watch all the new episodes of Law and Order SVU as they come out.
Love it.
And we started a new show as well called
Snowfall.
Snowfall. And Chris,
Snowfall.
it's
Snowfall?
called Snowfall, but
Yeah.
it was so funny because I was like, "Oh, my friend wanted me to watch this and give it a shot," and she was like, "Okay." And then I put it on, and as soon as the intro starts, she sees that it's like all about dealing drugs and like guns and shit, and she's like, "This is that show you seen the fucking commercial for. Anything to do with some gangster shit, you're just like all
Okay,
over."
but also, can we talk about when you seen the commercial? So we're sitting there, and this is when we're in the Airbnb, and this commercial comes on, and all you see is these people like weighing out drugs and obviously smoking weed, and I knew it. I literally, as I'm watching this commercial, I'm like, Cole's about to be like, we're watching this show. It's gonna be so good. He turns to me, he's like, dope. That show looks dope, and I just
No pun
burst out-
intended.
yeah, I just burst out laughing. I'm like, I knew you were gonna say that. He's like, no, you didn't. It's like, yeah, I
Fuck, I'm a loser.
no, I just know you so well.
Yeah, I know. You know me more than I know myself, and it scares the absolute shit out of me.
He admits it sometimes, denies it others. It's
Yeah, but now it's
a roller
documented
coaster.
forever.
Yeah, well, you still will. Let's be real.
Steven also asked,
Yes.
who smokes heavier, which is such a funny question because if you would have asked this a year ago, it would have been a different way. And if you would have
Yeah.
asked this 5 years before that, it would have been the opposite of that too. So that sounds confusing, but you can explain it. And people will know.
Oh, I'm explaining? Okay, so 6-7 years ago, Cole used to fucking smoke weed like crazy, like a chimney.
Yeah, like a quarter ounce a day.
Yeah, and then when we got together, he like barely smoked weed at all. And I recently kind of cut back on
You
blazing.
did not kind of cut back. You completely cut back.
Yeah, I did. I completely cut back on blazing. And yeah, so like 6 months ago, if you would have asked this question, I would have been the heavier smoker.
Yeah.
7 years ago, Cole would have been the heavier smoker. As of now, yeah, as of now, we are about, I mean, I guess I'm still would be considered the heavier
You still
smoker.
smoke heavier than me for
Yeah.
sure. And I mean, like, don't get me wrong. It's with you, it's different. Like with me, I have to be in the right situation because I used to smoke lots of weed and I was just that ultimate stoner. Took a break, came back. Now I get anxiety. Everybody that has watched an interview that I've done has probably heard me say that before. But with you, you still know how to turn the switch on and off. You know what I mean? Like if you have your
Yeah.
friends over, you're still gonna smoke hella
Yeah,
weed.
like I'm now more of a social smoker than an everyday toker. Like I would get up, have a hoot with my coffee, have my breakfast, an hour later have another hoot, hour later have another hoot, a couple hours later have another hoot. Like I fucking smoked all day, all night. Now I will go like weeks without smoking weed, which is really weird. And
Literally.
I still love cannabis. Like I love weed. I love cannabis 100%. I just kind of cut back when Cole and I when I moved to the mainland and was working and doing my own thing, and not because I couldn't smoke weed. I was living with my dad and his wife, and my dad is one of the biggest stoners
Yeah,
I know.
straight
So it was very accessible to me. I couldn't, because I did start getting anxious because Cole and I were going through some stuff at that time. So
Yeah.
I kind of stopped for a bit just to,
A lot of it's based on life, but it's also you knowing that, like, knowing and understanding that you love cannabis, but at the same time, teaching yourself and showing yourself that you can go without it.
Yeah, I
It's not
don't
like you
need
have
it.
a dependency. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah. And I definitely used to. If I didn't feel good, I mean, if I get a tummy ache, I'll definitely have a hoot so I can like have my appetite
Yeah.
or whatever. But like if
And,
I can't
the
sleep,
benefits cannabis has is definitely real when it comes
100%.
to like, health and
Yeah.
things like that.
yeah, and I fully believe in it and whatnot. But yeah, sorry, Stephen, that was a very long answer to your question.
But we gave you all the answers.
But this is a cannabis-friendly podcast, and that's kind of the funniest thing about it is when I started this podcast and like thinking about what I was gonna do on it and talk about it. Like Tommy and I especially, we're like, oh yeah, we'll like start off every episode with like having a hoot and talking about blazing and
Yeah.
stuff. And we haven't quite hit the point where we can blaze and then record right away, just because we're still getting used to recording and staying on track of topics and stuff. But I'm hoping one day.
Which we're not doing any of on this episode, staying on
No,
topic.
no, this is definitely a rambler.
But I like it though; it's great.
Yeah.
Smack Shade, who's actually the kid who he came and gave me a hoodie at a show that time, and I wore it on
Okay,
stage.
are we gonna say all the names? Because didn't
No,
we?
you're right. We agreed not to do that before, so I'm going to stop that now.
But it's okay. Shout
but he's
out to
got a-
him.
Yeah, he's got a great
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
question. He said, "What has been one of the hardest things that you've had to deal with mentally as a couple?" I mean, there's a lot of things,
Yeah.
and let's be honest. Like we can go as deep as we want, or as you want, I should say, because I asked you. But I'll definitely chime in.
Well, I mean, like what recently happened with us, like
Yeah,
5-6 months ago.
yeah. Go in depth.
Well, we didn't really discuss talking about this on this episode.
I mean, I'm reading questions as they come in, so it's not like I knew we were going to go there either. But I'm totally open to talking about it if you are.
Well, Cole and I, like, honestly went through a little bit of a separation for a while there. So that was the hardest, I'm going to say.
I agree, but I think it was also like one of those things where we both were mature enough to know that we needed our space. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And when we say separation, it's not like we just didn't talk. Like we were just in a place in our lives where we knew we needed some time apart just to kind of like think about ourselves and just get ourselves on the right track, which is exactly what we did. But yeah,
But it was hard. There
was
was
super
some
tough. For
yeah,
sure.
there was some really. The beginning was rough, and I again, another reason why I stopped smoking weed was because I would get very emotional because I wasn't living with him and our girls, and they were on the island. I was on the mainland, and it was tough to begin with, but
Sure. But like I said, I definitely have pride in the fact that both of us were mature enough to know that we needed that space. Like a lot of couples, I feel like when feel like they're at rock bottom or they're going through a situation, for the most part, they're gonna just either completely shut off and walk away and not even give each other that time and space that they may have needed to be able to mend things.
Yeah.
So I definitely am proud of you, and I'm proud of us just for taking that approach.
Yeah, and it took us a bit to get to that point because
sure.
we had, but before I actually came to the mainland, Cole and I had this big conversation, and we were like, okay, look, we need to step out of our own emotions and feelings, and we just need to talk about this as adults and what is going to be the best for us individually and for us together. What is going to be the best for our relationship, what's going to be the healthiest.
If you can't be happy individually, you're not going to be happy together.
Exactly. And that's something that we both had to come to terms to of, okay, we need some time apart, we need to work on ourselves so we can become the best version of ourselves again, and then we can be the best version of our relationship
for each other.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's really about taking those steps to coming to that realization, being able to have that conversation and those hard conversations and emotional conversations, and just doing the work and doing what is right, because it didn't mean when Cole and I ended that conversation, it wasn't okay, we're broken up and this we're never getting back together. It was, we're just going to take some time apart, and we're not going to put a time limit on it. We're not going to put rules on it. We're not going to put, I guess we called it a separation, but we didn't call it a breakup. We just...
And I had to learn how to get past my separation anxiety too, because I'm naturally, I have just this, I feel like I have every kind of anxiety, but separation anxiety was part of it for me.
Yeah.
And I just, as a man, had to step up and realize that just because we need that time apart, it doesn't mean that you're walking away completely, or that I'm walking away completely, or that we're not going to even talk to each other. Yeah. It's we still spoke every single day. We still stayed in touch. You know what I mean?
We just talked at night, and because I got a job and I was, excuse me, doing my own thing, finding my independence. So we didn't talk as much as maybe we usually would have if we were spending time apart, if one of us was on a trip or something. But we talked every night, and we didn't shut each other out, or one of us didn't shut the other one out. We stayed in contact, and it was probably the best and hardest thing. Yeah,
it was the greatest but hardest thing that we've done. And I also think too, what was I going to say? Now here we are, and it's
Now we're on the other side of things.
We're on the other side of things, and that's not to say that we're perfect. That's not to say that we don't have problems. We have our moments all the time, and every couple does. Yeah. But just accepting the fact that we're going to have those moments, and then choosing how we're going to approach those moments, I think, is the most important part. But like you said, we took the time apart, we did our thing, and here we are, even stronger than we were when all that happened. So I think that's the most important part, and I think that it was a teaching thing for both of us. Mm-hmm. And yeah.
And it's just we talked about this in one of the other episodes. If you're with somebody and you're spending years with them, a significant amount of time with them, people change. Things happen, and that's...
Especially with our lifestyles.
Yeah, and that's okay. If, you come a point in your relationship where something bugs you that didn't bug you maybe at the beginning of the relationship, well, then it's just all about communication, and it's all about finding that happy medium where you can kind of help each other out in dealing with it or going about certain things or whatever. And we kind of hit a point where we were hey, our communication isn't working, excuse me, and we just aren't the best versions of ourselves right now. That was after what, 5 months of quarantine?
Yeah, and I think quarantine has been a tester for every relationship.
Oh, 100%.
Friendships, couples, families, etc.
And it's not you and I don't spend every single day, every single minute together, even before COVID, because we did. Yeah. That wasn't the issue.
Realistically, not much changed.
But it did because we couldn't do things, right? We couldn't go and like he couldn't go hang out with his friends. I couldn't go hang out with my friends. I couldn't go to see my family. He couldn't. Well, he could see his family. They were close, but like.
But like what you're trying to say, correct me if I'm wrong, is like if we ever did feel like we were smothered by each other's presence, we didn't have our outlets that we're used to having before.
Exactly. And then I just kind of started realizing, even within my own self and my own mental health, I was like, holy fuck, like I feel like I don't have anything because we weren't touring, we weren't doing a bunch of stuff.
And you were so far away from family too.
Yeah, and it's just, we were on the island. I felt very like stuck and secluded, and like just, it was a weird time. And so we both just figured out it's time to just take some time apart and work on ourselves.
And as beautiful as that house was, I'm going to address this now because people ask all the time, like, didn't you just get a new place? Like, why did you guys move already? As beautiful as that place was, I just feel like it had a certain energy to it.
Yeah.
And now that we've moved on as a couple and like against all odds managed to beat all the things that were going on and come out on top, I think that it was also very important that we are in the place that we are now. When I say that, I mean quite literally physically in the place that we are now.
Yeah.
But
our farm, as beautiful as it was and as incredible as it was, it kind of became a toxic place for us.
Yeah, for sure.
There was a lot of bad energy that took over, and I don't think if we stayed there, it would have ended up being as positive as it did.
And I don't feel that here.
No,
we are
me
now
neither.
Currently at all, which is great.
Me neither.
I bet that person who asked that question did not expect the last 20 minutes of coverage that they just got.
Yeah, we dove real deep into that one. Sorry, guys.
0 to 100.
Yeah.
But no, I think it's important we talk about it, and I also think it's really important in the sense that people that like look at our lifestyles or whatever, like people all the time tell me like, "What's it like being a celebrity?" Like I don't even consider myself like some like celebrity really in my own mind.
Yeah.
Like there's times where I'm like, "Oh wow, like a lot of people are paying attention to me, and that's crazy." But I still like I haven't gotten used to that in my own mind. So I think it's especially important for people like us who have this many eyes on us to talk about this publicly, because a lot of people in our position that are in relationships like to paint it on Instagram and on social media like everything is just fucking hunky-dory when it isn't.
Like perfect,
And I think it's important that people like normalize talking about the fact that not every relationship is perfect. No relationship is perfect for that matter.
Yeah.
And that things happen and people have to work on their things, but luckily you and I worked hard enough to come out on top of it all.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're listening and you're going through something very similar to what Cole and I went through with your significant other or partner, like, just know that taking time apart, working on yourselves is not a negative thing. That's not
that was the
a
biggest
bad
part
thing.
for us, was noticing, and not noticing, sorry, but knowing deep down that it didn't have to be negative that we were taking our time apart.
Because it is how you view it. If you view
100%.
it as this is a negative thing, then it's gonna be a negative thing.
Kind of like the manifestation thing we were talking about earlier. If you manifest it as negative, eventually it will become negative.
Yeah, exactly.
100%.
So.
But there's your answer, bucko.
Sorry about the rant. Or the deep dive into story time there.
Yeah, that's good though. Like I said, I'm happy that we both got that off our chest in like a public way because it's important.
Yeah.
Somebody asked me if I can make it all about myself again. Do you think Drake sees you on his radar by now? I don't think. It's just such a funny question because if you were to ask Carissa how I feel about that, she would know that I'm actually literally consumed by that question.
Yeah. I will say yes.
I do think he knows who I am. I think that if he's seen my face, he'd say, "Oh, it's that guy." You know what I mean? Like, I think that we've made enough noise now that that's the case. I do have mutual friends that are also friends with Drake in and outside of music, so I can only hope that that also would help. But as much as people like to hate on Drake, I'm actually like the biggest fan of Drake, not only for his music, but also who he is as a person and the things that he's done to pave the way for Canadian artists specifically, much like myself. And I look at his business model and I look at his branding, and it's something that I actually am inspired by, and it's something that I take a lot of notes on, and I hope that eventually I can be one of the guys that says, "Hey, I got that Drake feature," you know what I mean? But at the same time, I'm not going to expect it. I'm not going to be the guy that gets upset if it doesn't happen, but I definitely am a huge fan of Drake. And speaking of Drake, because around the same time this drops, which is tomorrow, quite literally, I'm dropping my Drake Lemon Pepper freestyle, which is like over 100 bars. So,
You're saying this right now?
huh?
You're saying this
Yeah,
right
100%.
now? This will be out very early.
I know. So people are going to hear this and expect it. This is also my way of making sure I work my ass off to get it out there. But
Okay.
at the same time, yeah. So that's the thing. But yeah, no, I love Drake stuff. I'm a huge fan of Drake. I can only hope I'm on his radar by now. And I do think that this piece of work that I'm about to put out, as far as speaking things into existence and manifestation goes, will get his attention. If it doesn't, like I said, I can't be too disappointed about it. But I do think that this is my favorite thing of his that I've put my own twist on.
Me too.
And I think that it's, I personally think it deserves to get his attention, but like
I
I said,
agree.
I can't be upset if it doesn't. So
No, I definitely think it will. And I also have had dreams of Cole opening up for Drake. And I know that sounds like, okay, awesome, you had a dream. But my dreams are like very intuitive. I don't know what it is, but a lot of the time, if I dream it, it happens.
yeah,
And this one dream was just like really, really vivid and really, really crazy. And I just, yeah, I believe it's going to happen. And I have this weird feeling that this song could be it.
yeah, I'm really hoping so too. There's a lot of people in Drake's direct camp that follow me that have shown me love.
Yeah.
So shout out to them. I obviously appreciate the DMs and stuff that I've gotten from the guys in his team.
Yeah.
It means a lot. But yeah, we can only be hopeful when it comes to these things. And I've learned as an artist too, like, you don't owe anybody shit and nobody owes you shit at the end of the day. It's like, I don't owe anybody my time or my guidance, but there's people that I want to give my time and my guidance to. Just like Drake doesn't owe me his time or his guidance or anything like that in any way, shape, or form. But you can only be hopeful that that maybe one day that could happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like that with a lot of other artists that I look up to. But yeah. So there's that. Should I look for another question? Should we close this out with one more question?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Somebody said, where did y'all meet? But that's been addressed so many times.
Yeah.
We've told that story
Try and
lots.
find one that is something we haven't talked about.
There's a lot of questions.
That are the same that we've got.
I
before.
got one that we've addressed before, but we're going to answer it anyway. We'll answer more than one last one. Somebody said, is my Mercules a Friends fan?
Oh my God, of
Let's
course
talk
he
about
is.
it.
150% he is, because I am. He had no choice.
Yeah.
As soon as he started dating me, he
I've been
literally.
falling asleep to Friends for the past 6 years, and that's not because it's boring. It's because that's literally tradition in our relationship.
It's my lullaby. I love Friends. I have watched Friends since it came out. Like, I was like 4 years old singing the theme song. My mom has home videos of me singing it because my mom has loved Friends ever since it started. And me, my mom, and sister are just like Friends
They
fanatics.
can literally quote, like, if you watch an episode with all three of them in the room, like, they're gonna know every word, every moment at the exact time. Like,
And it's still just as funny as the first time I watched it, because I just fucking love that show. So yes, Cole is a Friends fan because
one hundo.
he didn't really have a choice, but
And now
he loves it.
I catch myself.
Yeah, you
quoting
quote
the
it
time.
all the time.
100%. But now we'll close it out with one more serious question. Somebody asks, now that you've come this far, do you guys think that you would have made it this far in your life if you guys weren't together? I definitely think that when it comes to my career and just the progress that I've made from the time that I met you to the point that we are now, which has been over 6 years, I genuinely wholeheartedly feel that without like you being my main support system, I don't know if I would have been able to find it like within myself to be where I am now. I know a lot of you guys have heard me say that, whether that's on stage or in an interview, but like I can honestly wholeheartedly say that I don't think I would be in my current situation as far as like my artistry goes when it comes to my creative process and the music that I make, and also just the success that I've gained and the things that I have now. I don't think I would be able to reach that point without Carissa, because she's pulled me out of rock bottom before many times, and to a point where I don't know if I would have been able to crawl out of that like myself, if that makes any sense. Like, I really think that together we did that, and that's just how I feel when it comes to that. And yeah, like I said, you guys have heard me say that before, but tell me how awesome I am and how you couldn't live life without me.
I honestly don't even know where I would be in life. I don't know
Aw,
if I
babe.
would. I don't even know. Like it's hard for me to even like think about it because I just wasn't at a great state in my life when Cole came in and like helped me through that. And like I said on the About Me episode, like I think I said this in the one I released. I recorded that one quite a few times, but
That's okay.
at one point in it I said that like you didn't even know, like when we first started talking and stuff, like you didn't even know that you were like helping me as much as you were. Like I was in such a bad
100%
fucking
likewise,
state.
though, babe.
Like
So was I.
I was super fucked up, and I honestly don't know where I would be if I hadn't met you.
Well, I love you so much, and that means the world to me.
I love you too, but like, yeah, so sorry I don't really have much of an answer, but I like
But I
really.
also think that, like, I was already making
Excuse
music. My music wasn't successful yet, but I think that in your life,
Yeah.
like, a lot more in your life, I think, had to change than it did in mine. Like, sure, I moved out to where
Yeah.
you live to be with you, and that, yes, that was a major change in my life, and yes, I was already making music, but I feel like in your situation, like, you had to, the fact that you had to adapt so much to my life,
Yeah.
to me, being the other person in the relationship, I felt like you had to make more changes in your life. So, yeah, I don't know. That's just kind
I'd
of.
probably still be in the Bauer House working at Earl's.
I don't think so. I think you would have probably like found something that was you were more passionate about. Maybe whether that was like starting a business. Do I think that you'd still be in Alberta? Probably, yeah, for sure.
100% I'd still be in Alberta.
But
I'd
I don't
still
think
be
you'd
in Red
still
Deer.
be living in that home. I don't think you'd be in that house, and I think you would have found something else by now, unless like you had some sort of like.
I don't know. I feel like I would have been.
You really do? After all these years, babe? Like, it's been a long,
Unfortunately,
really-
yeah, I
it's
do.
been a long fucking
Yeah,
time.
like that's how, like, really, if I look back and think about it, like, I don't want to know where my life would have been if I wasn't with you. And
Well, that's the
I've
cutest
had
thing
you.
ever. Kiss me on the podcast.
oh my god,
Right now, on the podcast. There it
sorry
is.
guys.
I don't apologize for love. Love makes the world go round, bitches. But yeah, I think that was
That's
a strong flail of an episode, but we did our thing, and I think it was awesome. And I appreciate you guys tuning in and listening to my bitch ass talk too much. And thank
my
you for
God.
having me. Thank you for having me on the show as usual. And I love you guys for listening. And babe, I love you so much for melting my heart with those kind words that you just said. And it's your show,
love
so
you
I'll let
too.
you end it there.
Well, thank you for coming back on the pod and chatting and making this random last minute episode with me.
Of course.
And thank you guys for listening. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and stay safe, stay healthy, stay positive, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.
Something classic, something special.